Welcome to the deep dive. There are these technologies, they're so fundamental, really woven into our daily lives that we completely overlook them.
Yeah, they're like the hidden infrastructure.
Exactly. Like the silent power grid in the background. I mean, think
hmm
about it. The homes we live in, the cars, even our food, so much of it relies on this often unseen workhorse.
Absolutely.
So today we're taking a deep dive into the really fascinating and surprisingly dynamic world of air compressors.
It's a great topic. More going on than people think.
Right. Our mission today is basically to unpack the current trends and the future of this absolutely essential industry. We want to understand what's really driving it.
Oh.
What are the big shifts and where are the opportunities and the challenges? Our source material for this deep dive is a pretty comprehensive market research report. It gives us a really complete view of this critical, yet, like we said, often unnoticed sector. All right, let's dive right in. Let's break this down.
Okay. Well, what's really fascinating here, I think, is just how foundational air compressors actually are. They're not just some niche tool. They are, as you said, kind of the silent powerhouses behind an incredible range of operations.
So what do they actually do at their core?
At their core, they convert mechanical power, usually from an electric motor, sometimes a diesel engine, into potential energy. It's stored as pressurized air.
Okay, so like winding up a spring,
Yeah.
storing force.
Exactly like that. Storing that force until it's released to do work.
So definitely not just for blowing up party balloons then.
Far from it. No, we're talking about powering pneumatic tools,
Huh?
air-powered equipment in massive manufacturing plants.
Okay.
They're used in oil extraction in the energy sector. They play absolutely critical roles in aerospace, automotive, healthcare, even construction.
Wow.
Honestly, once you start looking, they're everywhere.
That really paints a picture. So these fundamental machines are changing too, right?
Yeah.
Let's zoom out a bit. How do these individual advancements affect the whole industry?
Well, the technology itself has really transformed over the years. The constant push has been on enhancing reliability, drastically cutting energy use, and just boosting overall efficiency.
And what's driving that push?
If we look at the big picture, the macro trends, it's really all about the global focus on sustainability, energy efficiency, and, of course, the big one, the adoption of Industry 4.0 technologies.
Okay, Industry 4.0. For anyone listening who isn't completely immersed in that world, what exactly does that mean in this context?
Good question. So Industry 4.0 is essentially this ongoing digital transformation of manufacturing, of industrial processes. It's about creating smart factories.
Smart factories.
Yeah, where machines, systems, people, they all communicate and cooperate. It's driven by automation and, crucially, data exchange.
Okay.
And this is exactly where smart air compressors fit in. They're now being equipped with advanced control systems, IoT sensors.
IoT, Internet of Things.
Exactly. Connecting these machines to the network, collecting and sharing data, it's all designed to, optimize energy use, cut downtime, and enable things like predictive maintenance. Fix it before it breaks.
So this unseen workhorse isn't just fundamental, it's a massive industry undergoing some pretty profound shifts. Our source mentions the global market value, what was it? Around USD 26.5 billion as of 2024.
That's right, $26,514.6 million, roughly. It's a staggering amount for something, like you said, many of us never really think about.
It really is.
And it just underscores how deeply this industry is tied into the global economy. Even small tweaks in efficiency or tech here can ripple out across so many other industries.
And it's not static either, it's growing.
Oh yeah, definitely growing. It's anticipated to expand at a CAGR that's compound annual growth rate of about 5.0% over the next few years.
5% CAGR is pretty solid growth. Are there specific shifts within that larger trend that stand out?
Yeah, the research highlights some interesting things. For instance, cognitive market research predicts that over 30% of air compressors will have intelligent capabilities soon. That's a big jump from 2023.
30% smart-enabled. Wow.
And we're also seeing oil-free air compressors expected to expand at a CAGR of over 5% as well.
Okay, oil-free. What's the main driver there? Is it just about keeping things clean, or is there more to it?
It's largely about purity, yeah, but also very specific application needs. We're also seeing more demand for portable compressors.
Portable. Where are those used most?
Especially in tough jobs like mining and construction, they need to be engineered to really endure severe environments.
Makes sense.
And then there's healthcare. The need for absolutely oil-free, pure air for things like surgical tools, respiratory devices, that's directly driving innovation in medical-grade compressors. Purity there is. Well, It's completely non-negotiable.
Right. So it sounds like that shift to oil-free is one of the really significant trends shaping things. Why is it such a game changer?
It's a game changer because it totally eliminates the risk of oil contamination in the compressed air stream itself.
Which is critical where?
Absolutely critical in sectors like electronics manufacturing, pharmaceuticals, and especially food and beverage processing. Even the tiniest bit of contamination there can have huge consequences. Product quality, safety, hitting regulatory
I
standards.
see.
So it guarantees that high quality, uncontaminated air. And it's driven both by, sustainable manufacturing goals and those increasingly strict environmental regulations.
That makes perfect sense. Now, another major trend you flagged was the rise of VSD compressors, variable speed drive. How do they work? What's the big deal there?
VSDs. They're really a revelation when it comes to energy management. So unlike traditional compressors that just run full tilt, fixed speed,
On or off, basically.
pretty much, VSDs intelligently adjust their motor speed based on the actual demand for air at that moment.
Okay, like smart cruise control in a car.
That's a great analogy, yeah. It only uses the energy needed for the current demand. Instead of constantly flooring it and then braking hard, the impact is huge.
How huge?
They substantially decrease operational costs and energy consumption. Here's a real kicker. VSD compressors can cut energy use by up to 35%.
35%?
Yeah, it's massive. Not just for cost savings, which are obviously attractive, but also for seriously reducing carbon footprints.
Any examples?
Sure. Solaire unveiled their E1035H model back in March 2023. It was specifically designed to align with Hitachi's environmental goals, and it matches its diesel counterparts in reliability while giving you those energy savings.
That's a powerful combo, innovation meeting sustainability. We're also seeing, you mentioned this trend towards more compact and portable designs. Is that driven by specific industries again?
Precisely. It's largely driven by that ongoing need for energy-efficient solutions, yes, but also those very specific requirements in fields like construction and mining. They need mobility, ease of use, and just plain ruggedness for tough environments.
Okay. Now, you mentioned earlier the global market is extremely fragmented. What does that actually mean for how the industry operates across the world?
It means you see really significant variations from region to region. They're influenced by different economic conditions, different levels of technological advancement, different rates of industrial progress. Each region kind of plays its own distinct role.
Right. And looking at market share for 2024, Asia Pacific is the clear leader,
Yep.
right? About 40%. That's almost half the global market. What's driving that dominance?
Yeah, nearly 40%. It's largely fueled by really accelerated industrialization, especially in China and India.
Okay.
Both governments are putting huge emphasis on infrastructure development, on manufacturing expansion. That naturally just boosts demand for industrial gear like compressors. Plus, you've got competitive labor costs, foreign investment flowing in. It all strengthens the region's position.
So it's volume, but is there innovation too?
Absolutely. It's not just volume. They're pushing boundaries. For example, ZF's Commercial Vehicle Solutions division. They introduced a new high-speed electric air compressor specifically for fuel cells in April 2023. That shows the kind of cutting-edge development happening within that booming region.
Interesting. And North America's next, about 25% share.
Yep. Around a quarter of the market, that's mainly down to the region's really strong industrial base, particularly in the U.S.
Right.
North America's been a pioneer in integrating sophisticated tech, like those smart compressors we talked about, into highly automated systems. There's strong demand for energy efficiency here, and it's also home to many of the major manufacturers, which fosters innovation.
Okay. Europe's around 20%. How does their market look different?
Europe's big emphasis is on sustainability and those strict environmental regulations. That really drives the adoption of energy-efficient and, again, oil-free compressors. Germany's a leader within Europe, with its focus on industrial innovation.
So regulation is a key driver there.
Definitely. The market there is highly competitive, pushing companies to invest heavily in R&D for solutions that are both efficient and environmentally responsible.
And the rest of the world, Africa, Middle East, Latin America, that's the remaining 15%.
Yeah, roughly. These are areas where industrial development is maybe more gradual, but it's consistent. Demand there is primarily coming from oil and gas, construction, mining, industries needing robust, often portable compressors that can handle challenging conditions.
Okay. Now, despite this fragmentation you mentioned, it sounds like a handful of key players really dominate. Who are the big names?
That's right. You've got a few major players. Atlas Copco, for instance, is the biggest, holding maybe around 8% of the global market share.
8%? What makes them stand out?
They're widely recognized. Huge product selection, oil-free, oil-injected, you name it. Their strategy really leans heavily on sustainability, constant innovation, and digital stuff like
Great.
deep IoT integration into their smart compressors. Plus, strong after-sales support, global reach. They're everywhere.
Got it. Then there's Ingersoll Rand, around 6%.
Yeah. Yep. Ingersoll Rand, also about 6%. They offer a really wide variety too, stationary, portable, serving lots of different industries like automotive, construction, healthcare. They focus heavily on R&D for environmentally friendly, energy-efficient products, and they often use strategic acquisitions to boost their competitive edge, expand into new areas.
And finally, Kaeser Kompressoren, also around 6%.
That's right, Kaeser Kompressoren, also about 6%. They're really renowned for durable, high-quality compressors. They have a particularly strong presence in Europe.
What's their focus?
They've built a formidable reputation by emphasizing sustainability, long-term dependability, and really customer-centric solutions, often providing tailored systems, not just off-the-shelf boxes.
Okay, so let's talk about the cutting edge. Technological advancements, opportunities, smart tech, IoT integration. You said that's expanding fast, especially in North America. What does that actually mean for running these things day to day?
This is where compressors really get intelligent, you could say. Those IoT sensors and advanced analytics, they provide real-time monitoring of performance metrics.
So you know exactly what it's doing.
Exactly. And that enables predictive maintenance, fixing things before they break, which is huge in deeply optimized energy use. It all dramatically boosts operational efficiency and slashes downtime, which is incredibly costly for businesses.
And the adoption rate is climbing.
Yeah, significantly. In the U.S., nearly a quarter of newly installed compressors in 2023 were smart-enabled. That's expected to jump to 35% by 2025.
And the payoff.
Real-world benefits. Better productivity, lower maintenance costs, and serious energy savings. Think up to 25% reduction in energy costs and maybe a 30% drop in unexpected outages.
Wow.
And globally, the expectation is that by 2025, nearly 30% of all newly installed air compressors worldwide will have these IoT capabilities built in.
Sounds like a real revolution in efficiency. You also highlighted oil-free compressors, again, as a huge opportunity in high-purity applications. Just remind us why they're so essential there.
Right. They're indispensable simply because they completely eliminate any risk of oil contamination from the compression chamber itself. It's just non-negotiable for certain processes.
Like which ones?
Okay, so think food and beverage. Strict hygiene standards demand contaminant-free air, period, to prevent product contamination. That segment's growing maybe 6% annually.
Okay.
Pharmaceuticals. Oil-free is vital for drug manufacturing, packaging. That sector was about 18% of the oil-free market in 2023, expected to grow around 5% annually, driven by even stricter regulations.
But electronics.
Essential there, too.
Got it.
Maintaining ultra-clean room environments, precise contamination control for delicate components. That's growing at about 5.5% per year.
Right. We even saw that example of ELG Compressors USA rebranding their Rotier line to ELG back in December 2022.
Yeah.
I guess that was a strategic move to boost credibility in this high-purity space.
Absolutely. It highlights a key competitive point. Companies investing seriously in this oil-free technology gain a significant edge.
How so?
Well, by meeting these incredibly stringent standards, they can become the preferred suppliers in these critical high-value applications. That means capturing more market share and building really deep trust with customers who absolutely cannot compromise on purity.
Okay, so lots of growth, lots of innovation. But there are always challenges, aren't there? What's a big one holding back market growth?
A major hurdle, yeah, especially for industries maybe with tighter budgets, or for small to medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, is the higher initial capital cost. These sophisticated compressors cost more upfront.
Ah, the classic business dilemma. Upfront investment versus the long-term gain. Can you give us a ballpark sense of the cost difference?
Sure. To put it in perspective, a standard fixed-speed compressor might run you, say, $10,000 to $20,000.
Okay.
But a variable speed one, that can jump quite a bit, maybe $25,000 to $50,000. And oil-free compressors, they can be up to 50% more expensive than their oil-lubricated equivalent.
50% higher. Why such a big difference?
It comes down to the more sophisticated technology, higher manufacturing costs, the advanced materials needed. It all adds up.
So what's the real-world impact of that higher price tag?
The impact is pretty clear. Those high initial costs can definitely deter potential buyers, particularly in developing economies or in sectors where budgets are really tight.
Any data on that?
Yeah, for example, even though the VSD compressor market was worth, what, $1.2 billion in 2023, adoption among small and medium businesses, SMBs, is still notably low precisely because of those cost concerns.
Yeah.
Data suggests only about 30% of manufacturing companies have actually implemented advanced compressors with VSD tech, largely due to those budgetary constraints. It's that fundamental trade-off, isn't it? Significant long-term savings and benefits versus that substantial initial outlay.
Well, we have certainly taken a deep dive into the air compressor market today. We've seen how this vital, often unseen technology is really undergoing an incredible transformation.
It really is.
Key drivers seem clear: energy efficiency, optimizing maintenance, and the really powerful adoption of advanced tech like oil-free and VSDs.
Yeah.
Plus, of course, the exciting rise of smart IoT-enabled compressors.
Those are the big themes.
So whether you're looking at business decisions, tracking industrial shifts, or maybe you're just aiming to be incredibly well-informed about the hidden tech that powers our world, understanding these trends seems pretty crucial. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
My pleasure. And as we wrap up, maybe here's something for you to ponder until our next deep dive.
Okay.
How might the increasing integration of AI artificial intelligence into industrial IoT, going beyond just monitoring, how might that fundamentally reshape industries reliant on compressed air? And what does that mean for the future of, say, human-machine collaboration in manufacturing and beyond? Something to consider.